With loot grinders becoming more and more popular, it's no wonder big studios like EA and Ubisoft are shifting focus to these non-linear experiences. Games like Destiny have seen such huge success, so it's no wonder that the Monster Hunter series is making a big return to the Western market with Monster Hunter World. I'm Evan.
And I'm Kalli.
And we're here to explain to you why we're excited about Monster Hunter World. Why is the loot grind so damn addictive? Games like Borderlands, The Division, Destiny, and before them Diablo have all found huge success through the tried and true formula, and now big AAA companies like EA are shelving promising single-player games to shift focus to loot-filled games like Anthem and whatever they're turning that visceral Star Wars game into.
While it's great to grind through Destiny's raid for the 8th time, praying to RNGesus for that specific drop, sometimes it's better to have little more control over your hunt for gear. Enter Monster Hunter, a series with explosive popularity on the other side of the globe, making its triumphant return to PlayStation this coming January.
Monster Hunter took the loot grind formula and forced its own genre of game out of it. While a game like Destiny pits you up against squads of aliens and monsters with the occasional boss fight thrown in, Monster Hunter is built entirely around the boss fights. Rather than hoping for a lucky loot drop, this game wants you to set your own goals, be it a sword forged from the webbing of a Yankatku, or a sweet set of armor made from the scales of a Rathalos. You hunt the monster you need, and craft the items from the spoils. There are countless Hunter games nowadays, including the very promising Dauntless, but Monster Hunter has remained at the forefront since its debut on the PlayStation 2 in 2004.
After the second installment of Monster Hunter on the PS2, the franchise moved to the then brand new PlayStation Portable, revamping the original 2 games as Monster Hunter Freedom. Because of the difficult learning curve and the lower percentage of handheld console ownership in the West, the Monster Hunter franchise struggled with the Western market. As a result, only 2 of the 8 spin-off games, Monster Hunter Stories on 3DS and Monster Hunter Dynamic Hunting on iOS, ever made it to North America. And yes, I was a very sad little girl holding onto her PSP, waiting forever for Monster Hunter Portable 3rd. It's been 7 years since Sony has seen a Monster Hunter title, but Monster Hunter World is the perfect title to come back with. This time, they've kept in mind the learning curve difficulties of the previous games, and have made huge adjustments to the game to streamline the skill and make the game more accessible to new players, without hindering the experience for Monster Hunter veterans.
Boss fights have always been my favorite aspect of most video games. The fact that this game is centered around them has me very excited. While I've seen plenty of Let's Plays of the previous games, this is my first chance really getting my hands on a Monster Hunter game. Having played the beta this past weekend, it's safe to say I'm on the hype train. As a new player, I can confirm that this game and its mechanics are daunting, but with this addition to the series, it really feels like they had new players in mind.
The new skill system is honestly a gift to all. It's simple and much easier to manage. No more mathing the equipment skill points to add up to 10, 15, or 20 points to get skill benefits. Monster Hunter World recycles the system for a better system, where 1 point will give you the benefits, 2 will give you the second level, and 3 will give you the third. During the beta, I made sure my equipment gave me critical eye plus 3, increasing my chances of landing critical hits. Also, no more paintballing. Previously, players would have to throw an item called Paintball at the monsters when they were discovered in order to track them when they left the area. In Monster Hunter World, you'll have to rely on your scouting abilities, looking for monster tracks, then following the scout flies. This change not only builds on the theme of hunting and tracking monsters, but it also cuts out the endless area hunting of monsters from the previous game and brings the players straight into battle. Veterans that go back to Monster Hunter Freedom remember listening to the UMD scratching and spinning during the full 2-minute loading screen between areas. Now, that doesn't sound so bad until you chase a monster into the area, loading, loading, enter, get blasted back immediately, loading, loading, then fiercely running back into the hunt, loading, loading. Great news for people who hated that. No more loading between areas. Though, without the area numbers, it makes it a little harder to communicate to your teammates where the monster has gone. The gameplay lends itself to the veterans too. I found myself often pressing buttons out of Monster Hunter habit that weren't mentioned in the tutorial at all, and they still did the same actions they did in the previous games. The combos remain the same, thankfully.
Last week's PSX gave us a look at the game's story, with an absolutely gorgeous trailer. It's clear that mechanics aren't the only big change we'll be seeing.
There's a much bigger focus on the story this time around, with a large cast of characters leading your character through their quest, full voice acting and cutscenes unlike any previous Monster Hunter title.
The story looks great, but the real draws to the game are the monsters. Each one is designed with such care and thought, it's hard to pick a favorite. Most importantly, they made feathered dinosaurs look good. Every monster has specific gameplay mechanics tied in, some focusing on their environment. A Barroth will cover itself in mud as protective armor before charging its prey. And the Diablo strikes from underground, pulling your entire team into its nest. You're not just fighting an endless series of bullet sponges, there's a strategy involved in approaching each battle.
Watching the monsters interact with each other was a rare thing to see in previous games of the franchise. Though it did happen sometimes, it wasn't very common because two monsters were rarely in the same area at once. I think Monster Hunter World wants to really bring the world to life and brings more monster interaction and monster battles to focus.
What do you think? Did you have a chance to play the beta? Are you as excited as we are? Or are you worried that these changes made to the game are sacrificing too much in the hopes of drawing in a new audience?
Let us know in the comments below. This has been Kalli
and Evan for VGS.
Happy hunting, and remember to bleed for your art.